work for you. When I first heard about Avvo a few years ago, my thought was, oh my gosh, not something else, not another thing I need to keep on top of, and I didn't think that it was going to last. I'm glad to be proven wrong, and proven wrong is demonstrated by three things. Increasingly, clients are asking us about Avvo. What is it? How do I use it? How do I incorporate it into my marketing? And also demonstrated Avvo's success is by the strong response we've had to this webinar. And in addition to that, I attended the Avvo Lawyer-nomics conference in Las Vegas a few months ago, and there were about more than 400 lawyers from across the country in all stages of incorporating Avvo into their marketing. Some had been using it for a while with great success. Others were just coming on board. But it was clear that they were committed, and that it's also clear that Avvo's here to stay. So when I was at the conference also, I had the good fortune to hook up with Kristen Carey, Community Relations Manager with Avvo. Kristen's been with the company since 2007, and she's literally talked with thousands of lawyers, listening to their concerns about Avvo, incorporating their suggestions for enhancing the product, and coaching them on how to make Avvo work for them. So we're very glad to have her here today. My name's Sharon Berman. My company is Berbay Marketing and Public Relations. We create the visibility and credibility that fuel revenue growth. And we work with clients to make sure that their online marketing is working for them, as well as incorporating Avvo as part of that. I'm going to turn the program over to Kristen. She's going to give you the foundational aspects of Avvo, and then we'll be taking questions. If you have a question, you'll see that the box on your screen where you can type in a question, and we'll address as many of those as possible afterwards. So I'll turn the program over to Kristen Carey.
Thanks so much, Sharon. I really appreciate you guys having us today. Let me switch the presentation over to my screen here. All right. Can y'all see that?
We can see the second screen here, Kristen.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Thanks for that confirmation. I took a look at the registration for today, and we have a variety of attorneys and marketers on the call representing 4 states, everybody from solo firms to really large firms, and representing over 17 practice areas, both in the consumer space and serving businesses and business needs. So what I'm going to talk about today is a really high level of Avvo so that I can hopefully touch on everybody's interest, and we'll have some time for Q&A at the end too, especially. So if you have additional questions or specific questions, hopefully we can get to those then as well. So I just wanted to start today. There we go. Just by saying a little bit about what Avvo is. So we are the largest lawyer directory online. We cover currently every state in the United States. We have a Q&A forum where consumers can come and ask their legal questions for free, and those questions are answered by the participating attorneys on our site. Currently, 99% of questions get answered within 24 hours, and that is all lawyer-powered. So it's really the community that drives that Q&A forum. And we're really a hub for your online reputation. And so I'm starting out by just telling you a little bit about why your online identity matters. And hopefully throughout the next hour, I can show you kind of how Avvo can help you enhance your online reputation. So all of our attention is moving to an online space. Everyone is researching everything online. Reputation and word of mouth, they still matter. You know, reputation and word of mouth have always been the cornerstone of how lawyers have gotten new business in the past. The delivery method has just changed. So, you know, for example, if a friend tells you about a new restaurant that opened up down the street, you're likely to pull out your cell phone and look it up on Yelp. So it's the word of mouth coupled with that third-party validation and the social community verifying that that is in fact a good recommendation that then moves us towards that restaurant or helps us make that choice. Third-party validation is becoming increasingly important. So, you know, just like the example I just shared, Yelp, We're talking about client reviews, peer endorsements, sites like Avvo or LinkedIn. What people are really looking for is for other people and companies to say that you're awesome. So anybody can go to your website and read how your firm is delivering good on services, but it's even better if they can go to a third party and hear those same awesome recommendations. And it's really critical for your firm and its lawyers to set themselves apart. A lot of you spend a lot of time thinking about marketing your firm, thinking about how to differentiate yourselves in the market, and content is increasingly becoming that differentiator. Content helps deliver a sample of tone and quality before an introduction even happens with a potential client. The trade-off is that we aren't in full control of what happens about our reputation anymore. So moving that reputation online, it has a lot of benefits. It gives us a lot more exposure to a lot more potential clients, but a little bit of that reputation is now out of our hands. And so it's really, really important to remain active online and to make sure that you're aware that everywhere that your name and your firm's name is appearing. Part of that has to do with the power of Google. And so in this example here, you'll see that somebody has typed in the name Paula McCandless. So maybe I'm going through a legal issue. My friend has recommended this lawyer to me, but I don't know anything really about this lawyer. So my first instinct is going to be to go to Google, type in that person's name. I've coupled it with a location because we're often like, give me the Paula that's near me and not the one that's across the country. And you can see in this example, Avvo is the second result after this attorney's website. And so most likely your potential clients are doing similar searches and viewing both your website and every other third-party site as well. So that's why it's really important not only to focus on your own website, but also be aware of where else your voice and photo are appearing out on the internet. And it's not just your website. Consumers are turning to online to educate themselves on products. So example, there are now clothing sites that purchasers of different clothing are actually reporting back about whether the fit is too large or too small. So it's not just what your firm is saying about itself. It's not just what your clients are saying about you, but it's also other people have an opinion, other people have sort of an image about what your firm is about. And there's a fit between clients and lawyers. So you can think of client reviews as a way for potential clients to learn if you can meet their needs and if you can meet their expectations. And then content is the way that you can expand your reach. So in my previous Google example, a potential client already had your name, but what about finding clients who've never heard about your firm before? That's where the content becomes really important. So as I'm thinking of forming a business, I Google business formation and I land on a legal guide that's published on Avvo. It's written by an attorney. I now have a chance to get to know this lawyer's style by reading their article. There's a link to the profile, so I get to know them better. In that profile, there's a link to the website. So content is becoming a big player in how potential clients find out about your law firm for the first time. It's also goodwill towards the community. It lets people know that you actually care about legal situations, even if they never do become your client, and that can create a lot of goodwill. It's building your online reputation. And it's helping find your voice. I think a lot of folks struggle with what is our angle, what is our differentiation in the market. And through writing, you can really discover, what is it that makes me unique? Is it the way that I speak to my clients? Is it what I have to offer? And publishing on Avvo gives you access to over 6 million visitors that visit Avvo every month. And so with that, I want to kind of jump in a little bit more specifically about who Avvo is and what we're all about. So like I said, we're the largest legal directory and Q&A forum on the web. We have 6 million visitors every month to the website. We have 3 million legal questions answered by local attorneys, and I'll get into that in a little bit later. We have profiles for 95% of U.S. lawyers. So even if you haven't been on Avvo, even if you haven't claimed your profile, you most likely have a profile on Avvo. And that's because we create our profiles based on the public records from the State Bar Association. We have over 175,000 lawyers participating on Avvo, and we drive hundreds of thousands of contacts each month to the attorneys who are active on our site. So basically, we understand how consumers find lawyers. We're already driving the contacts, and we find that many attorneys need help in converting more of these contacts into calls. And so we invite you to claim your profile. Claiming your profile is free. It's free for every attorney. It always will be completely free. You'll see that we have a number of ways that you can claim your profile. So you can do it through your LinkedIn. You can do it through your Facebook logins. You can do it through email or phone, and you can even do it by credit card. We're not charging your credit card there. We're just matching the name on that credit card to the name in the profile. And really, we're wanting to make sure that this is as secure a process as possible, because we do want to prevent any fraud or any wrongful claiming of the profiles. Give us a call if you're having any trouble or are concerned about claiming your profile, and we're happy to answer your questions individually. And additionally, I also wanted to note that we have a method by which a marketing representative can claim the profiles on behalf of the members of the entire firm. This is also free, and basically because we know that attorneys are busy practicing law, if you're lucky enough to have a marketing department or somebody in that department can help maintain your profile, that's really awesome, and we want to make sure that you guys have access to that. So give us a call and we can walk you through how that works. Claiming your profile gives you full access to edit almost everything in your profile. So you'll get to enter your legal awards, your education, your legal associations. The more information we have on your background and resume, the more accurate your Avvo rating will be. We can only rate you based on the information that's entered into your profile, which is a big misconception that's out in the world. So if you don't see the information published in your profile, we don't have that information. That's why it's really important for you to claim it and add the information that's missing. Additionally, you can request client reviews, endorsements from colleagues in the community who know the quality of your work. And claiming is the only way to publish and produce content on Avvo and get that SEO value from that published content. And we'll talk a little bit about that too. So everybody always wants to know about the Avvo rating. So I'm going to spend a little time now talking about the Avvo rating. We also have a customer care department here, and we give monthly webinars diving deep into this issue. So if I don't get to answer your questions today, we do have other places where you can ask. So like I said, this is the most common question that we get. The rating is based on the information in your profile. Again, if you don't see the information published, we don't have it. So claiming your profile gives you access to update the information and add information we may have missed. So primarily the kind of information we're looking for is related to your activity within the legal community. What do I mean by that? So specifically, we're looking for awards granted by legal organizations. We're talking Martindale-Hubbell, Best Lawyers in America, Super Lawyers, your Bar Association. We're looking for leadership positions within legal organizations, again, within the bar. Even if you're the co-chair of a subcommittee, something really small like that, we want you to add that to your profile because it shows that you've raised your hand and you've taken a leadership position within your community. We also are looking for publications in legal periodicals. So what we're looking for here is law journals. A lot of state bars have newsletters. So we're looking for publications in which the audience is other legal professionals and lawyers. The same goes for speaking engagements. So we're looking for situations in which the audience have been other attorneys. So CLEs is a really good example. If you've ever taught a CLE, you want to make sure that's added to your profile as well. So education, where you went to school, your work experience, the number of years you've been licensed, this all matters as well in addition to peer endorsements. But the awards, the associations, the publications, and the speaking engagements that I mentioned, those are really going to be the core of it. We've fine-tuned this algorithm that calculates the rating many, many times over the years. But like all rating systems, it's not perfect. So the most important thing is to include as much information in your profile that you'd want a potential client to see. So first and foremost, the profile is a vehicle in which potential clients can learn more about you and your business. So if it's really important to you to let potential clients know that you are an active member of your local Rotary, we really encourage you to add that to your profile. However, because it's not specifically a legal organization, it's not going to add to your Avvo rating. So definitely think about your clients, first and foremost when you're entering that information. And then seeming active and approachable along with having a strong profile photo plus client reviews, these are the keys to getting contacted. So this is what really differentiates someone's profile, from being a 6.6. If there's no photo and you're a 6.6 and you've got no client reviews, even if you are, the best lawyer in town, nobody's going to know that. And so really, making sure that your profile is complete is a plus. And then once you have completed your profile, you really want to go ahead and optimize it for content to maximize your full presence on Avvo. And I'll show you a few examples of that. So once you claim your profile, you'll see you have an About Me section. And this is a section in the profile that lets you tell potential clients information about your firm in sort of a more casual way, in a more conversational way. So we recommend adding a photo of the lawyers in your firm, maybe of the staff, so potential clients can see a friendly face. They know who they'll be interacting with. Some other great suggestions are photos of your office so that people have a sense of where they might meet with you. Video is really, really great. So potential clients can hear your voice, they can see the way you carry yourself, they can hear the tone that you use, and this all wraps right back up into your brand and your presence, right? So if you want to be seen as professional and traditional, that matters in the kinds of videos that you post. If you want to be seen as more of a casual and maybe more modern law firm, that will matter as well. And so video is a really nice medium in which to tell potential clients a little bit more about your brand and what you're up to. Client reviews and peer endorsements, as we mentioned before, are what potential clients are actively searching for on the internet, right? This is the gold nugget. You should know that client reviews do not impact the Avvo rating. They are completely separate. So you've got the numerical Avvo rating, which is a 1 through 10 rating, and then you've got the client reviews, which are star ratings, 1 through 5 star ratings. So we recommend that you actively request reviews from clients you know to be happy with your work. Some attorneys, they have like an iPad or a computer set up in the lobby so that clients can leave a review before they actually leave the office. All reviews are published anonymously, and we read every review before it's published. So we want to make sure that these reviews are actually helping other potential and future clients. And then this is where the Q&A forum comes in as well. So Q&A is by far the most popular legal forum on the web. So next to every answer appears your photo and a link to your profile. You can sign up for notifications of local questions that are posted in your practice area, so you can better target who you'd like to get in front of. So for example, if you practice immigration in LA, you can sign up for notification every time a new immigration question is asked in LA. So you know that that is a potential client of yours, and you can be sure that you're the first one to answer it, that you establish that connection with that client quickly. And this is a great opportunity to get in front of potential clients who don't know you yet. So you post a little information to help the person with their situation. It builds a lot of trust. So that can lead to a profile view, which can lead to a website view. And that was all just you sharing information that you know, that's easy for you to access, that you share with people every single day. And just by posting that response online, you may have started to build a relationship with a new potential client. And the benefits of that are obviously that you now get to play in the long tail search game, where your website's not likely to appear. So when we say long tail, it's really when people are typing a lot of words into that Google search box in order to get a specific, more unique, or maybe even a more local result. So in this example, you can see someone's typed in financial planning, estate planning, same thing. So this is pretty typical of the Google searches we see, which is they're not always coherent, perfectly phrased sentences or questions. It's just kind of a jumble of words trying to get at some meaning. And you'll see the second result here is a question that somebody has previously asked on Avvo. So when this person clicks on that result, they can read the full question, they can read the answers, they can read more about the attorneys that provided that answer, and more and more Google is directing people towards that local result. And so again, this is just a really great way for people to discover you who may not have ever heard of you before. A few of you asked in the registration about the search results on Avvo, like in our directory. And I wanted to make sure that you're aware of our sponsored listings and how they work. So this is a screenshot. It's just the top of the results. So this page actually goes down farther, and I think it shows up to like 10 other attorneys in the search result. And so this is what our advertising looks like. So when you pay for advertising, we remove competing ads from your profile, and you appear at the top of the search results. And you'll see that we only have a limited number of spots in each practice area and geo combination. So for example, in the example you're looking at right now, Bellingham Personal Injury Attorneys, you see 3 ads at the top, and then 1 to the right. Dean Brett there is also paying for an ad as well. And so appearing in the organic search results, or the search results that appear below the advertising, it's a combination of client reviews, how many client reviews you have, what your Avvo rating is, where you're located, and your practice area. So for example, in this search result, if you are close to the heart of Bellingham, you practice 100% personal injury, you are rated a 10, and you have a lot of client reviews, you're most likely going to appear like really high in those organic results right below that advertising there. So purchasing a sponsored listing just guarantees your placement in the geo and practice area. You never have to worry where you appear in those organic results. And then websites. We haven't really talked about websites a lot, but I know you guys are probably thinking a lot about your websites. And an optimized website is important, whether you purchase yours from Avvo or from someone else. It gives you a way to expand your content strategy. So, you know, while you're posting content maybe on LinkedIn and on Avvo, you know, you should also be thinking about the kind of content that you're publishing on your site and how is it different. What kind of tone, what kind of voice and tone are you using on your website to make sure folks feel welcome? And really giving potential clients another reason to select your firm. So I haven't mentioned much about mobile, but as we're finding here at Avvo, it's becoming a larger part of our traffic, almost month over month. It's just taking a bigger and bigger chunk. So you want to make sure that your website is optimized for SEO, mobile, and content. So basically so people can find you when they want. And because, you know, your website is showing up sometimes in different search results than your Avvo profile and your Avvo content is, it's really important to make sure that you're playing in both spaces. And so thank you all. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Sharon now, and maybe we can get some of your questions answered.
Kristen, thanks so much. That was very helpful. We have a question. I'm sure you get this question a lot. How do you recommend dealing with negative client reviews?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's a very hot question. And so the first thing that you should know is that 80% of the client reviews submitted to Avvo are positive. 80% are positive. And so I think that there's a big myth out in the world that if I expose myself to receiving client reviews, you know, all the clients who have ever disliked me are going to come out of the woodworks, and that's just not true. We're much more likely to post a review when we have something positive to say than when we have something negative to say. And so if you do receive a negative review, we really encourage you to respond. So every review that you receive, you are given the opportunity to post a comment in response, and we really encourage you to do that. Getting a negative review is really an opportunity to show potential clients how you deal with conflict, how you deal with, you know, things when maybe the client's expectations aren't being met. And so a simple statement that says, you know, I'm so sorry this person went through this. It's really unfortunate that they had this poor experience. At the law firm, when we receive a negative comment, we make sure that the person receives a call back within 24 hours. We make sure that we walk them through their options. We make sure that we resolve it to the best of our ability, really giving people an understanding of, like, what's going to happen if I have a problem with this attorney. So it's not so much about the negative review, but it's how do you respond to that negative review. And then the other thing is a negative review amongst a sea of positive reviews can actually add some credibility. So just think back to the last time you were on Yelp, or maybe you were looking at Amazon reviews, and if that book or that restaurant has 40 5-star reviews, you're going to be kind of like, really? Like, nobody ever had a problem with this restaurant? No, everybody just loved this book? No, having a couple reviews in there to kind of balance out, to show that, you know, that this is a real situation, and that, you know, we're all human. I think people actually appreciate that. I think it can add a lot of credibility to the review. Yeah.
Those are really good points. Those are really good points. Okay, another question. Do you have to claim a profile in order to correct incorrect information?
No, you don't. We definitely encourage it. So we are happy to correct any information that we know is wrong in the profile. So often the way we find out that information is incorrect is either someone will directly contact us about their own profile. We even actually have people out in the community that are like, hey, I know that guy. I know what kind of law he practices, and you've got it wrong. And so, you know, other attorneys are reporting that information to us as well. And you know, it's in our best interest to update and correct that information. So as soon as we're made aware of that information, we update it to the best of our ability. Sometimes, you know, sometimes people update their status with the bar, and we haven't yet received that new information. So we definitely want to hear about it. And then, of course, you know, claiming your profile is obviously going to give you the most control, the fastest. So you don't have to wait for us to update it, but you can actually update it yourself. But yeah, absolutely, we're happy to fix any errors that are on the site.
Okay, well, sort of along the same lines as a question, I do marketing for a law firm, and some of the attorneys have more than one profile listed with totally different ratings, but they are the same attorneys. What should I do?
Yeah, that's great. Well, there's two ways to resolve that. One is you can contact us and we can resolve it, so we can merge those two profiles together and make sure that that's resolved. When you go through the claim process also on your own, you'll be given the opportunity to tell us through the computer, like through the interface, that these two profiles are actually the same person, and that merge will happen automatically when you claim your profile. The reason you're seeing two different Avvo ratings is probably because when you look at those two profiles, they have different amounts of information in them. And so, you know, claiming it, getting those merged, getting all that information into one place should result in a higher Avvo rating.
Okay, that's very interesting. That makes sense. Okay. So another question is, why does my Avvo profile show up in Google but not Yahoo or Bing when somebody does a search?
That is a really great question, and I'm not totally familiar with the Yahoo or the Bing algorithms. We pay a lot closer attention to Google, as most folks do, because they kind of rule that SEO market. So I'm not technical enough to answer the specifics of that question, but I'd be happy to point that person in the right direction, because we definitely have some SEO gurus here at Avvo that could answer that better than I could. So unfortunately, I can't answer it very well, but I'd be happy to point you in the right direction.
Okay, great. Okay. Let's see, and this one I'm sure you've heard. I have seen Avvo ratings of attorneys that are unclaimed, have no reviews, and have less experience, yet their Avvo numerical ratings are higher than other attorneys with claim profiles, reviews, and more experience. How could this happen?
Without seeing an exact example in front of me, it's hard for me to pinpoint what might be happening there, but my guess or my gut tells me that there's more information in the profile with the higher rating. And there's more, not just more information, but more relevant information. So experience is one piece of it. It's one piece of a very large and complex algorithm that's taking into account all the information that's in the profile. So, for example, if you have somebody who's maybe been licensed for 3 years and you're comparing them to somebody who's been licensed for 10 years, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at that person who's been licensed less time, that 3 years, and I'm going to say, have they taken leadership positions within legal organizations? Have they been honored through legal organizations, through Martindale-Hubbell, through Super Lawyers, through Best Lawyers in America? Have they given talks in front of other attorneys? Have they been published maybe in a law journal? So it's my gut tells me that it's probably one of those 4 areas that's really setting that person who's been licensed less years. It's really those 4 sections that are setting them apart. So again, awards, associations, speaking engagements, and publications.
Okay, great, thanks. So does a person's Avvo rating increase if they purchase advertising?
That's a great question. No, the answer is no. We have pretty strict rules about separating advertising and anything that you might purchase from Avvo with what's happening in the Avvo profile. So those are completely separate departments here. They don't influence each other at all. Some folks do kind of just anecdotally, they just look at the advertiser's profile and they said, well, all advertisers are 10 or something like that. And I think what happens is that when you purchase advertising with Avvo, you get a dedicated account manager. And so that is somebody that you can pick up the phone anytime and ask a question about what's going on at Avvo or what's going on with my profile. And so often those account managers are helping that attorney to optimize their profile. So they're really pulling out the information from the attorney and saying, send me all your speaking engagements, send me all your publications, and I'll help enter those for you. So often advertisers do have a little bit of help in entering that information into the profile. However, the rating doesn't get impacted by the purchase of that advertising. Does that make sense?
Yes. So in a sense, they have sort of a coach who can help them.
You got it. And we do have Yeah, and we do have a customer care team as well. And our customer care team is here to answer consumer questions and to answer attorney questions maybe before they're ready to claim or while they're claiming their profile but maybe haven't purchased advertising yet. So we do have a customer care team as well, but the ratio is really different as far as how many inquiries they're getting a day. So they don't always have that time to spend individually with every lawyer to help them optimize their profile, so which is why it is beneficial to have that account manager.
Okay. And another question related to advertising is, can advertisers remove negative client reviews from their profile?
No, nobody can ever remove client reviews, either positive or negative, from their profile. So that's something that's really important to us. So from a consumer perspective, they need to be able to trust us and to trust the reviews that are posted. So if we ever started hiding reviews or taking down reviews, all of a sudden that becomes a pretty unreliable place to get information. And I think that really goes against our mission and what we're out for, but it also kind of hurts the attorney in the end because ultimately the attorney benefits from the trust that we're building in the community with consumers as the go-to place for legal. And when we're helping to pass along that goodwill to the attorneys that are participating on the site. So I don't think it's in our best interest, and I don't think it's in any attorney's best interest to be removing client reviews from the site. We do have a process that I didn't mention earlier. We do have a dispute process with the negative reviews because it's really important to us that those reviews are true and that they're honest. And so if you ever felt like you got that a review was posted on your profile that was not from a former client, we want to know. We want to hear about that. And we have steps that we take on our side to go ahead and verify that that was, in fact, a client of yours, either in the present or in the past.
Okay, that's great to hear that you have that, you're safeguarding things. Okay, another question here is, can Avvo be used to post future speaking engagements or events?
Yeah, sure. If you know something's coming up, absolutely post it in your profile. We have a way, though, that we are not going to give you credit for it until it's passed. And that's just because we're really familiar with the world of speaking engagements, and sometimes those speaking engagements get canceled. And so if you are posting maybe a speaking engagement that you anticipate to happen later this year or maybe early next year in your profile, just know that we're not going to give you credit towards your Avvo rating for that speaking engagement until that speaking engagement already has happened.
But you can use Avvo as a means to just get the word out another way.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
Okay.
And the same goes for publications as well. There is a feature where you can actually publish the link to your publication if your publication is online, so that people can actually go and read it and not just see that you were published, but actually go and read that article that you published.
Okay, that's great. Okay, somebody is asking, does Avvo have a competitor company? If so, who? And what edge does Avvo have over its competitors?
That's a great question. We don't. Whenever I get asked this question, I kind of am always curious where other people think our competitors are. Because when we look out at the landscape right now, we're not seeing a lot of direct competitors. I think that because we're so dynamic and because we do so many things, certainly, you know, Martindale, Super Lawyers, Best Lawyers in America, there's definitely other people out there rating attorneys like we are. Review sites, I know that some attorneys turn to Yelp to try and collect client reviews. So, you know, they could be seen as a competitor in that space. LinkedIn also has professional profiles, just like we do. So, you know, Yahoo Answers has Q&A. So I definitely think that there's a lot more legal startups popping up in the market right now, which is really interesting, and we're keeping our eye close on that for sure. I just don't know that there's anybody doing exactly what we do. We've got, you know, there's Scorpion, who's providing websites, and you know, there's a lot of folks out there selling leads, but I don't know that there's anybody really that we consider a competitor that's doing what we're doing.
Okay. Let's see. Somebody's asking if we're going to be sending out a transcript or a recording of this webinar, and we will be sending that out. It might not come till the end of the day, but or might even not be just till tomorrow morning. But we will be sending that link out. Let's see. Okay. So can you? I'm sure this comes up all the time. What are your suggestions in terms of priority if somebody has a low rating on their profile?
In terms of priority, you mean
in terms of
information?
Yeah, these are the steps you need to take. That's what I mean.
Low rating. Well, the first thing is definitely to claim it so that you have control over that information. You want to take a look at what information is already in your profile and make sure that that's accurate. So, for instance, we were talking earlier about merging profiles, and sometimes what happens is someone's licensed in California and they're also licensed in Colorado, and those not all that information is showing in one place. So you want to make sure that your profile is accurate and correct any information that's wrong. And then the next thing to do is just to kind of go through section by section. We have it laid out in kind of a grid fashion, so you can literally go through section by section and just make sure every section is complete. So in work experience, you know, we need to hear about that judicial clerkship that you had when you were still in school. We need to hear about your prosecutor experience or your public defender experience. We need to know that you opened your own firm. So just seeing the progression, so don't leave anything out even if you feel like it was a long time ago. Make sure that that section is complete with information. And if you're going down through each section and you're finding that you don't have a lot to add, that's actually where you kind of make a decision for yourself. Like I said before, your Avvo rating has a lot to do with your activity within the legal community. And so if you don't have very many publications and you're looking for a publication, you might want to call your bar association and just ask if they need any articles written for the next newsletter. Oftentimes, those editors are really hungry for content. And so if you're coming to them with content ideas, they're probably going to give you the opportunity to publish. If you're thin on speaking engagements, you might want to look into opportunities to teach a CLE or kind of figure out what the criteria are to get in on that. If you're thin in associations, if you need some experience within organizations, think about raising your hand at the next monthly meeting of your bar association, and think about becoming more active within that community. And for some attorneys, we hear that that's not really for them, and that's okay too. We're just trying to be as transparent as we can about what we're looking for to increase that rating. So first and foremost, make sure all the information is up to date. Secondly, make sure all of the sections are complete. And third, if you're feeling like you're kind of thin on information to add, then maybe go out into the community and see how you can offer your skills best to the community.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have another question here. Why do some people get access to the legal questions sooner than others? For example, many entertainment-related questions are already answered by the time I receive a daily digest. Do I have to be signed up for Avvo Pro?
No, that's a good question. So it's not about Avvo Pro, which is a feature of advertising, but it's actually about those notifications. So if I hear that someone signed up for a daily digest, I'm going to recommend that they switch their notifications to immediate notifications. So probably what's happening in that community, in that entertainment community, is that there are a few attorneys who are really active and are keeping their eye on those immediate notifications and making sure that they're the first attorney to answer. So if you want to compete, if you really want to be the first to answer, then you might want to switch your notifications to be immediate. We also have an app for lawyers for the iPhone right now. We're developing it for the Android in the future. Sorry, Android users, it's not out yet. But for the iPhone, and it makes answering questions on your phone really easy. So I know that folks go to court and they have to kill an hour, before the judge can see them, or perhaps you've just got a few minutes between clients and you want to see what you can do on Avvo. The app is really great for that kind of stuff, and you also get those immediate notifications of when a question is posted.
Okay, that's great to know. And also you answered the next question, which is Avvo going to develop an app for iPhone and Android. So ask and answer.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, I'm just taking a quick clear. Okay. Those are all the questions that have come in, and Kristen, you've also answered a lot of other great questions that have been asked by clients and over the months. So I just want to say thank you so much for such great information, and thanks too to everybody who listened in. If there's anybody else who wants to hear this program, as I said, we'll be sending out a link. We'll also have a transcript on our website. That may take a little bit to get up, but we'll have it out and we'll let you know. And if you have any specific questions about Avvo, Kristen, as she said, and her colleagues will be more than happy to help you. If you want more information and would like to talk further about your marketing in general or developing some of this third-party material, the publications and speaking engagements that Kristen mentioned, we'd be happy to talk with you because that's what we do for our clients. So thank you very much, Kristen. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. And everybody, good luck with Avvo. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Shan.